Well, everyone, the 2024 Bikini Olympia is officially over. I did prejudging recaps of wellness and bikini, and now I'm gonna do just a full recap of the show top to bottom. So, thank you to everyone who was liking the videos, by the way. I was shook by that. um, so, yeah, thank you so much. Let's get into my outline. I have an outline this time because I know I was a little disorganized last time, which somebody kindly pointed out to me. They said if she says one more time, and I would take a drink every time she says that's what they said. So hopefully that person is doing okay. I'm sure they had to get their stomach pumped because I did say it quite a few times. So let's get into my outline. Disclaimer: I was not there in person, obviously, and the stream is different from what we see in person, but it's the best we have, and I'm just a fan doing this for fun. So I am going to be doing this recap anyway, even though I wasn't there. And this is all for fun, like I just said. And then another thing that I want to say is congratulations to everyone who competed. What an achievement. In my dreams would I be competing at the Olympia. So yeah, just congratulations. Obviously everyone looked incredible. Everyone had to win a pro show in order to get there. So that is something that most pros will never do. Most pros will never even crack top 5, myself included. So, congratulations. And thank you so much because you've given me a lot of entertainment. I lost a lot of sleep this weekend because I was watching the Olympia the entire time. So, thank you so much. And then I also wanted to say that it looked like everyone looked better at finals, but since that's the case, then maybe everyone looked pretty much the same, but the lighting was just different at finals and made people look better. The lighting seemed a little bit harsher. People's glute ham tie-ins looked a little more extreme at the night show on the stream. So, yeah. What are they looking for in bikini? The criteria. So what I'm talking about today is their balance/symmetry, posing, presentation, and glam. So including the hair and makeup, which goes into the stage presence and presentation. And then who matched my predictions? Well, let's see. Here were my predictions. So right here. So these are my predictions. I thought that these people would be, this was before Maureen dropped out. So these occurred a couple days before Maureen dropped out. But I still got a couple of them in the right spot. So Ashley got second place. While it wasn't to the same athlete who I thought she would get second place to, she did get second place. And then we also had, I think, Vanya. I got Vanya right? No, I didn't get Vanya right. I got, I thought I got someone else right. Oh, I don't remember then. I was convinced I got 2 people on this list correct, but I guess looking at this now, I am dead wrong. I was wrong. I did not get anyone else in the correct order. But of the 15 people that I mentioned here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of them made it into the top 15. I also said Evie as an honorable mention to get in that 15th, 16th place. And according to the scorecard, she did just that. So they only score up to 80 points. So you see once someone hits 80 here, then it's just everyone gets 80. But Evie just squeaked into that placement. So 15th place, Alice Roca got 74 points. And then Evie got 77 points. And everyone else from there was 80. So good for Evie. Very excited for her. Even though, unfortunately, she didn't get into that top 15 exactly. So, yeah, my predictions, I predicted a lot of them correctly, but I think a lot of us did. Anyone who's a super fan of the sport probably got a lot of these people correct. And Allie, I have highlighted because I said in my video that I would like for her to get into the top 15, but I didn't know if it would happen this year. So I'm not counting it that my prediction was correct, but I was on to something. So I feel good about that. And then people who I did not put in my predictions were Jordan and Alice, and they both made it in. Congrats to them. They looked unreal. So that's what made up my predictions. Controversy. There was controversy over the Winter Classic. It was classic the way there was controversy. People were saying Laura Lee, who won. Congratulations, Laura Lee. I know you're watching. Laura Lee, okay, that cough sounded like I'm coming down with something. I feel fine though. I feel fine. Anyway, Laura Lee, there was controversy, people saying her glutes are overpowering, let's just pull her up. So people were saying her glutes are overpowering, as usual. Historically, yeah, they have been overpowering, judges have said it. But you know what? Becky Clausen said, one of the judges at the Olympia this year, she said that Laura Lee was the standard. So I think that puts the kibosh on that point. Not totally, obviously there are a lot of other judges, but I mean, Laura Lee struck us from the moment she stepped out on stage. And do her glutes look overpowering? I don't think so. They look pretty imbalanced with the rest of her physique. Beautiful round shoulders, round glutes to match from the front. They're definitely not overpowering. We've seen Laura Lee in the past have overpowering glutes. I mean, let's just pull up a picture from a previous show. But that was not her issue this year. We all know that she did something different, which is coming in, and I think Chicago Pros when they said her glutes were huge. She did something different by coming in and not going way off of her physique, her stage physique over the offseason. See, her glutes looked a little overpowering here. Maybe not. I don't know. Whatever. They've looked overpowering in the past. I think we all know that. We all saw the controversy anyway. And if you've been following the sport for a long time, you know that's a thing. But anyway, Laura Lee stayed closer to stage shape, closer to stage weight this year throughout her improvement season, unlike previous years. So that gave her a little bit more predictability in how her physique turned out, I would guess. I don't really see how it couldn't have at least helped a little bit. Otherwise, why would she have done it in the first place? So yeah, good for her. So happy for her that she won. I think that she was a judge from my chair, from behind my pink couch. I thought she looked very well balanced. No more imbalance than other people. Everyone has a little bit of an imbalance, but I think since we have heard that for so long, then it stays in people's minds. And then whenever somebody wins, somebody has something to say about it. So that's my take. Anyway. So the scorecards. Let's look at the scorecards. So in those top 15 spots, we have Laura Lee winning with a perfect score relative to the highs and lows that are dropped from the judging panel. So I think there were 11 judges. So the 2 highest and 2 lowest scores are dropped, or whatever those numbers work out to. You hear what I'm saying. And then Ashley got that perfect second place, and then there's perfect third, fourth, fifth, and then at 6th place, numbers start to change. So it went from 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then 32, 35, 40. So there was some controversy over 6th and 7th place, as we see here. So yeah, there's that. And then I already mentioned that Evie made it onto that scorecard. So yeah, I have that there. And then differences between higher placing and lower placing physiques. So let's look at that. Here is a picture of all the top 15. Or these are the top 10. And you can see that the differences are going to lie in conditioning here and muscle fullness. So specifically, someone that I would have us look at, we see that these top 5 physiques right here, so here on this first line, they have that soft indication of the glute ham tie-in, and nobody is overly lean here. And then we see that starting to change when we get to someone like Ashlyn. So she looks a little bit more conditioned, and so does Maria Acosta a little bit. We see that hip detail, nothing crazy. Jasmine is probably the hardest one out of those top 4, but I think what that starts to come down to is just streamlining the physique. So we see that Amy so when you're beginning as a pro and you start to get these higher placings and you're just correcting those tiny things to make the difference in those 1st and 2nd places, 3rd and 4th places, then it's really just fine tuning that happens. But when you are getting to these levels of conditioning for your first couple years, then it can look like pieces of the puzzle, and they are all going together, but it's not quite as cohesive just yet because it takes years and years to refine a physique like this. Like at Laura Lee's first Olympia in 2018, where she placed 2nd place 7 years ago, or that was 6 years ago? She's been doing this for 7, I think. Anyway, she has completely been refining since then. And we saw that with Ashley Kay too. She's been coming in way fuller this year than she has in years past. And she's been refining her physique. So everything is looking like streamlined, very almost factory made. Like, that's how cohesive everything is. So I would say that those are probably the differences where we see those top 5 differentiate from the 6 through 15 spot. So Vanya still has that really beautiful, soft, overall streamlined look to her physique, and Ashlyn had a little bit more of that hardness. And I think part of that for Ashlyn is going to be muscle insertions, and just she has smaller shoulder caps. And when she gets a little bit harder, then it looks a little bit more extreme than these top 5 physiques we're seeing that have that little bit of softness to them. And then I'll also pull up the 11 through 15 spots. So same thing. This call out is just a little bit harder, probably except for Raina. Raina's back shot is perfect. It's just further tweaking that front pose and working on this stage glam aspect, in my opinion, which we'll talk more about. But another reason that some people will come in a little bit harder is because they're slightly under muscled compared to those higher placing top 5 people. So Ali Vathauer is a great example of that. She looks incredible. She made it into that first call out. While she did make it just to that 11th spot, just placing outside of the top 10 who do the routines in the evening, she still caught the judge's eye enough to get into that first call out, because she is very cohesive, very great shape, symmetry, balance. Her stage glam was perfect. Hair and makeup, perfect. We see that taper in her hair, so we can see her tiny waist in the back. And I think the only reason is she's a little bit hard up top. I think that's what kept her out of the top 10. And I think that just is going to come with building a little bit more muscle over time. But this is her first Olympia, and she already is making first call out. So if that doesn't say something huge, then I don't know what does. Similar thing here with Jordan. Congratulations to Jordan. She was another person who I didn't have in my top 15. But I'll elaborate on their 2 physiques in a little bit, actually. But I don't know with Jordan if it's like being a little under muscled, or if it's just going to take a little bit to get that more streamlined, soft conditioning that you see in those top 5 people, where the skin just looks very smooth, almost Barbie-like. And you can take Vanya as an example of that. I'll put Vanya and Jordan next to each other. So we have Jordan here, and I made all these side by sides. We have Jordan here compared to Vanya. So Vanya made it in the top 5, and she has that softness overall to her physique. And Jordan just looks a tiny bit more conditioned. And that's just the name of the game at this point. To get the things you need for the judges to see, to get you to look balanced from top to bottom, that conditioning is going to vary person to person. And obviously the judges loved it, because out of, I think, 48 athletes, Jordan made it into the top 12. That's incredible. She looks amazing. So yeah, I would just say streamlining. And I think Ashlyn versus Vanya, it's the same thing there. Ashlyn was just a little bit harder and compared to Vanya, and I think that's what separated Ashlyn from being in that top 5 to being in the 6th place spot. I think another reason for that is, I think some people were saying Vanya's a little bit soft, and she is softer, but she's perfectly in balance. She's conditioned from top to bottom, front to back, which is a huge thing judges look for, because you can have the best front pose in the show, but then lose from the back. And we've seen that with Issa multiple times, including when she won. Even when she won in 2019, she was winning from the front, hands down, but the back was probably not that first place spot. There were people who had a better back pose than her. So that's my take there. Even though Ashlyn's glutes are crazy, and I can absolutely see her in the top 5 in the next couple of years, or higher than top 5, this just wasn't the year for it yet. And I think it's going to come from streamlining, coming in a little bit less hard. But if she didn't come in as hard as this show, then maybe she wouldn't have been balanced. Her lower body would be deconditioned, look big in comparison to her upper body. So there are just trade-offs you have to make, and obviously it paid off for Ashlyn. She looks unreal. So, yeah, streamlining. And Vanya, I wanted to bring up, so Vanya placed 5th, but she was in the second call out, and she was on the outside ends of the second call out when she was called out. And then as she was in that second call out, she worked her way up. And it reminded me so much of 2022 when Phoebe Hagen was in the same situation on the end of that second call out. And then she just was getting better and better as she posed. And she made her way up into that 7th place spot. And Vanya did that same thing, except she made it into the 5th place spot. So this is the year that she made it into the second call outs and then just looked so good. Her presence was so good. Her posing didn't quit. And it got her 7th place after being on the ends of the second call out. So shout out Vanya. I did cry. I did cry when she won the Arnold UK. I'm obsessed with Vanya. So, yeah, I wanted to mention that, why some people are leaner. Alice was the same situation I was talking about with Allie and Jordan. She just doesn't have quite as much muscle yet, so she can't come in at that 100% full that we saw, say, Ashley come in at. And I bring up Ashley because I believe Alice, the show that she won this year, she beat Ashley. And yeah, so yeah, that was all I had to say. Okay, so they're both wearing green. I can say that too. So anyway, that's why she can't come in at the amount of fullness that Ashley's coming at, because if she did, she doesn't have enough muscle, so she would look soft and not soft in that soft and filled out way. So that's my take. Let's just double check. Was I correct that Alice beat Ashley this year? I love the Command F feature. Control Find, baby. Know what I mean? Yeah, Patriots Challenge. That was in Vegas, so that's where she beat Ashley. Ashley does all the Vegas shows, and love her for that. There we go. So that's the time that Ashley didn't quite make it in comparison to Alice. So then, who are we moving on to? Athletes presentation and velvet suits. I wanted to talk about velvet suits because we saw, I think like over half of the people honestly were wearing velvet suits in this show. It becomes more apparent in the back pose for me. So when you are stoning suits, you can't stone it completely smothering it in stones like you can the top. And the reason is because it won't lay flat against your skin. So in the video I made after prejudging, where I was talking about the suit, like Yulia's suit looking bunched up in the front on the bottoms, that wasn't because it had too many stones on it, but just to give you a visual of what I mean, if your suit bottoms on the back are fully stoned, then the material can't lay flat against your skin because the suit is basically a thong. So if it's going to be giving you a wedgie, which is what a thong does, then it's going to get all bunched up and not lay flat against the skin, which doesn't look streamlined. It looks sloppy and like it doesn't fit properly. So, when you are wearing a velvet suit, and we can really see that with Issa here, so I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to go up, so I don't know if we get like flagged. Oh, well, I guess there's butts everywhere. I was like, I don't know if I get flagged. as if I have enough people that I would even get flagged. But see how the top of this velvet suit looks shiny. It's reflecting light and it's blending into the skin. That's also happening because her suit is red and the base of the tan has a red base. But Laura Lee is doing it too. See how it's shiny and reflecting almost white compared to Ashley's, which is a vibrant deep color, or Vanya's not wearing velvet, I don't think, and neither is Angelica. The color just looks vibrant and vivid on stage. So I prefer that because if something is reflecting light, then it draws attention to it and makes things look bigger. And not only that, but especially against the glaze of the tan, you have that shine everywhere. So it ends up washing out and blending into the skin. And I think that when you have that more stark color with that really saturated base that you get in the suits that are not velvet, I think that reads better on stage. So I'm not really into the velvet suit craze. Just look how much more vibrant these four suits look in comparison to some of these velvet suits. Like, this. Obviously, it didn't make any difference in people's placing. Laura Lee still won wearing a velvet suit. But yeah, that's my take. Especially the red velvet, it really starts to blend into the skin. So I don't love the red velvet. But yeah, so let's get into everyone's presentation. So we're going to talk about everyone, and then I'm going to highlight the people who I think could improve just slightly. Because my opinion is what matters. Again, it's just so crazy for me to even act like my opinion matters in this situation, but I love to talk about this. So let's talk about presentation with Laura Lee. Everything was perfect. It couldn't have been any more perfect, and I think presentation and her midsection control compared to Ashley's, I think, are what won her the show. So we talked yesterday about how Ashley ended up, she was vacuuming a lot on stage, and when she came out for individual and for the beginning of comparisons, she didn't look confident because she was looking down a lot and looking around, but in a way that's looks very effortful, like she's thinking about every single step and checking things off a list, rather than looking effortless like they want you to in bikini. In bikini, they want it to look like you're just walking out and you put no effort into it at all, you just look like that, and you are relaxed and you look natural. Ashley struggles with that. And that's not, it's not, I mean, people have talked about that. This is not a unique opinion. And then we saw, which I said yesterday, we saw her confidence building as she did those comparison rounds. And then when she did her individual routine, when she turned from the back to the front, we saw the confidence start to build, especially when she got into that top 4 and kept getting moved in. Like, it was palpable. It was like a total 180. So I think the fact that she didn't get that confidence till halfway through and Laura Lee had it the whole time, that is huge. Like I said in my prediction video, vibe is something that you can't see in pictures, but it absolutely matters. I have won shows that, or placed higher at shows that I, physique-wise, should not have, because I looked like I was having fun on stage. And the judges straight up told me that. They didn't say, you got this place because you look like you're having fun, but every time I get feedback from judges, it's not that this is even on par with the Olympia, but just saying. My first feedback is always, your stage presence was infectious, and we love that you never stop smiling on stage and you never look down. So those things matter. If they matter on the amateur level and on the national level, then they absolutely matter on the Olympia level. So I would love to see Ashley get that confidence. And yeah, I think that really was a separating factor between her and Laura Lee. I think another thing is the vacuum. I know a lot of people talk about how Ashley vacuums on stage. I don't know why it is. I know that when you are trying to keep your core tight, sometimes you get so nervous that it's hard not to just do everything you can to keep it tight that you end up vacuuming. But Ashley's been on stage over 50 times. So she still gets nervous. She has said she still gets nervous, but I would think that if she could help but do the vacuum, then she would help it. Because sometimes it's more extreme. Like at the 2022 Arnold, it was a very extreme vacuum, which I will show you now. And I was actually at that show in person, and it was the coolest thing ever. I found Maureen at that point, and I became obsessed. So it was very extreme then. So it is better from what it used to be, but there's room for improvement. So yeah, I think those were the separating factors between her and Laura Lee. And then we have a little more about Ashley's stage presence. I think something that could be improved, so she's on my list for things that could be improved, I think is the hair. So first of all, the hair was a little bit too long. It was touching the top of her glutes, which we don't want. We want to see that tiny waist. And my friend Chris commented on my last video, and she asked if there's ever an instance where we should have longer hair, where it does touch the bottom of our bottoms, or just cover, or the top of our bottoms, or just cover the low back. And yes, I think the answer is yes. I think Deraja is a great example of that. She has a wider waist. That's something, because she has a shorter torso. She can read as having a wider waist, including and especially in that back pose. So she, if you have seen, will wear her hair really long at the Olympia, and that conceals it, because for her it's a flaw. To say Deraja has a flaw is absolutely bonkers and unhinged. But when we're talking about this level, then yes, certain things are flaws. And having long hair for her really works. So that is my answer to that. In Ashley's case, she doesn't have that problem. So I would say that she should cut her hair a little bit. And I actually have a picture of what I think her best look was, which I will show you. And then another thing with Ashley is her hair, and you can tell really in this back pose, not so much in this front pose, at least in the pictures that were online. Here is Deraja's hair. Long, and then the 2023 Olympia, it was even longer. And that's just comparatively to other people. She obviously has a tiny waist, like Deraja has a tiny waist, but compared to other pros, it's not as small as other pros. So yeah, as far as Ashley's hair, it looked kind of helmety, honestly. It was really full on the sides here and not evening out at the top. So yeah, and so it just read as messy to me. And then when it's all bunched up and it accentuates how wide it is up here and then it touches the glutes, it just wasn't polished, and it's such an easy fix that it was so stressful for me. I'm like, please, just cut the hair to the right length. You know what I mean? Okay, I need to stop pleading. But that's my take. Here is when I thought her hair looked the best. So this was a Tokyo Pro this year, and the hair was a good length. We see how tiny her waist is. She's glowing. You're not getting that wideness up here. It's the same volume all throughout, which I think is really good. I would like it to be completely off the shoulders and kind of swept into that U or tapered V shape, but still, it was good. And the hair was fucking laid. Her hairline looks so good. Like, so good. Look at that compared to the hairline from yesterday. It just doesn't look as polished because it's like diagonal and then lays flat, kind of in harsh lines along the face, framing it. So yeah, that's what I think there. And then makeup too. I know Ashley, I don't mean to like rag on Ashley. All of these things I'm saying are just because like I think it would make her that much better. Like, she's already number 2 in the world, has been number 1 in the world 3 times, and has the most winning pro there's ever been. These are just like the tiny changes I think would make all the difference and like put her over the top of the next Olympia. And also people were saying that if Jen and Maureen were there, then Ashley like definitely would have gotten second. First of all, we can't really make that judgment because they weren't there. And she's playing the sport. 2 people couldn't do it. Well, she's still playing the sport. She could do it. So she wins, you know? But also her fullness yesterday and the confidence she built after that second half, I think could still get her in this spot, or higher, even if they were there. Who knows? So yeah, wanted to say that. But I think the makeup, I know she likes doing it herself for ease of time, but I think the eyes can read a little dark. Maybe a smaller lash would not make the eyes read as so dark. And then the red lip, it looks okay, but I think if she had a softer lip, then that would really work for her, because the dark green with the medium to deep red lip and the dark eyes is just reading as heavy to me. And like we talked about yesterday, you want to look like you but amped up a little bit, and Laura Lee did a great job of that. Her eyes are almost closed in this picture that I chose, but her makeup is just overall softer. The lip isn't harsh. She looks like her but an amplified version. And then we have Jazzy. Loved the hair, beautiful. Makeup, perfect. Suit, I loved her in the green. I know I said that yesterday, but I absolutely adored when she wore that green. She didn't, what? Oh, this is Deraja. Okay, I was like, Jasmine didn't get 4th at the 2022 Olympia. Anyway, I loved when Jasmine wore green. I think that color really worked for her and would love to see her wear that again. And then I think nothing else. I wouldn't change anything else about her presentation. The blue looks great on her. I would just prefer the green, but it doesn't really matter what I prefer. Now, does it? No. So there's that. And then let's talk about Amy's presentation. So I chose this picture. I know her hair is sweeping over, but that's because she was in her back pose, and then she noticed her hair was on her shoulder, so she shook her hair, and then this is the most subtle back pose I could get while still seeing her shoulders. So I think Amy's presentation was perfect. I really was hoping she would do the straight hair. It looks so sleek and polished and poised, and what other good things could I say? I mean, it was just excellent. It was so perfect. So hair and makeup, perfect. She looks great in red. So that's my take on her presentation. I don't really have much to say about it because it was so spot on. Vanya, also perfect. Perfect. I'm just obsessed. She looks amazing. The hair, perfect. Suit, makeup, perfect. Amplified version of herself. Ashlyn did not love the hair. Love the old Hollywood hair sweep thing, whatever this is called. But the hair length was not doing it for me. It seemed abrupt the way it stopped. It seemed like maybe longer extensions would have been ideal, or having a looser wave, but I know the looser wave probably wouldn't go with the old Hollywood sweep she has going on here. If you do hair, let me know. I've done makeup for 10 years, but hair, I'm lost. So yeah, and I would have liked to see more shape to the hair to accentuate her taper in the back, which we honestly aren't really seeing anyway, but it would give an illusion if her hair were going in a U shape like that. But it seemed a little abrupt. I would like to see it a little bit longer, and maybe that just means having longer extensions or a little bit less volume. She also, I would like to see this arm closer to her to frame her glute better. We see that Laura Lee is doing that perfectly. Obviously she won, but having the arm closer to the body really gives that awesome balance where that shoulder is in line with the glute. Whereas Ashlyn, the shoulder is here, and then it's in line with the glute, but it could be stronger if she brought this arm down a little bit, in my opinion. But everyone does their pose for a reason, so that's just my take. The makeup looked good, so good with Ashlyn. And then we have Maria Acosta. Wow, perfection. I love Maria Acosta. Her waist is so tight. It's absolutely insane. And yeah, no notes. I think her lip, that would be a great lip on Ashley K. Her makeup it's spot on. I think that would be a great look for Ashley K. And that warmth in the eye really ties in and makes the entire look cohesive. She has that little bit of warmth in the eyeshadow selection there, which really pairs beautifully with the tan and the fiery red of the suit. It was perfect. So yeah, nothing to say there. Hair, great length. We see that taper. She has an incredible taper. Look at those rear delts. I trained rear delts for my first show, and then my second show, my coach came. She lived in Florida, and she was like, pump your delts, and I'm like, I am. And she was like, you're pumping your upper back. And it turned out I had never done rear delt exercise properly in my life. So yeah, Issa, she was on my list of things that I would like to make some adjustments to. Didn't love this. Like with Ashlyn, I loved that old Hollywood sweep thing I was talking about, but with like that's going up like this. But Issa has this bump it situation, but then the hair flat on her face. So it was reading as 80s to me. It was reading as bump it commercial to me. So I didn't love that. Really nitpicking perfection, but yeah, I didn't love that. And I would like to see that volume leveled out on the other side at least, because it looks lopsided. So I would want to change that. Makeup looks great. The suit, I don't love the red suit. I think Issa's suit, she looked best when she wore, I loved her in the mint when she won the Olympia in 2019. But my absolute favorite suit of hers is the one that I believe her coach said is cursed because she got second place in Texas with it last year. It is the aquamarine suit, Tricot Aquamarine from Toxic Angels. And it is just impeccable on her. That just pops. I am absolutely obsessed with this look. This, I think, was perfect presentation in terms of makeup, hair, suit. Maybe the lip could be a little bit more like this lip, but the suit was absolutely perfect. And this lighting is a little yellow too, so you can't really make a judgment on that necessarily. But yeah, I thought that was her best suit. I wish she would bring that back. The blue is pretty too, but I get bored with the royal blue. There's just not really anything special about it to me. Not that you need the suit to be super special. You obviously don't want it to like steal the show, like we've seen with Jess Feeney, who just qualified for the Olympia. Congratulations to her. But her suit that she just won in, it has these chunky jewels. So obviously we don't want to see, not obvious, she won, but we don't want to see something that steals the show and is distracting like that. But the blue doesn't really do it for me. And then the velvet red blends into the skin too much. And I don't like the reflection of the fabric. So that is my take on Issa's presentation. As far as what put Issa in 8th place, honestly, I'm no disrespect. But usually when people say that, there's disrespect that follows. But I really don't mean any disrespect. Her front pose is excellent, but she didn't look excited to be at the show, which not excited, but she looked disappointed. She didn't look like herself throughout. And it was mentioned that she lost her fullness once she came from Canada to Vegas. So it really fucking sucks. Like, let's see. Issa Bikini Instagram. It really sucks. She was looking so full. She did have her glute ham tie-ins. She was looking spot on. But then she came here and the tie-ins, it was like they never made it to the party. It was just so disappointing. So yeah, she looked a little soft from the back. I would say that, not that I'm surprised she made it even in 8th place, but it just seemed like there were people who had everything else in the package, maybe not quite as streamlined as Issa, but they were going for a little bit softer and more streamlined of a look. So maybe that's where that fell in. But yeah, that's my take on that. I feel for her that she got 8th place, when obviously everyone comes to look their absolute best. I was hoping we could see that check-in picture. If I would, yeah, here. She had ties here, and then suddenly, like, they disappear. It really sucks. So I feel for her. And then after her, we have Jordan. She looked great. The suit, it's okay. It's okay. I don't know what I'd like to see her in, honestly. The pink was cute. Wasn't obsessed with the pink either. I think she looked great with the teal that she wore in one of her previous Olympias. Let's say maybe it was 2020. I thought that was a great look for her. It was 2021. No, it wasn't. I don't know. Whenever it was, she won a show wearing this suit. That picture's not a good picture of it, but she won wearing that suit. Iron Games, which is usually a big show. I think this color really pops on her. So I would like to see her in that color again, but I understand orange is her favorite color. I would like to see the glam amped up a little bit. It looks like maybe a little more bronzer or something, or like blush, something. It just looks a little muted to me, but she looks killer as usual. Jordan, she's perfect. That's all I have to say. And then after her, we have Angelica. She's a little profile. I imagine at her road to Olympia, the judges told her to pose like this. Otherwise, why would you pose so profile? I think actually, now that I say that, eating my words, she's always posed a little bit more profile. She's never had my absolute favorite posing, but she looks confident and is having fun and is radiant when she does her posing. So I am all on board with it. So yeah, that was the only thing. Her glutes were a little bit soft, so that was what I think got her in that 10th place. But yeah, I'd like to see her open up a little bit more, turn this hip a little bit more towards me telling a 2-time Miss Olympia, I think you should move your hips a little bit. But yeah, I'd like to see her angle just overall a tiny bit more towards us and be a little less profile. So I'd see a little more of the shoulder. I'd see a little bit of the front of her suit bottoms. But yeah, she came in looking great. I was super happy to see her make it in that top 10. And then we have, am I droning on too long? We have Ali Vathauer, and oh my gosh, again, this was the first Olympia. I'm just so thrilled for her. And she has looked gorgeous. Ali is just perfect. I am a huge fan. I've been following her for a long time. When she was doing nationals in 2021, before she switched coaches to Jamie DeBernard and then won her qualifying show, the DC Pro-Am. And then she went on to win the overall junior nationals. And I have some pictures. So her problem area, does she have any problems? She looks perfect. Has always been her waist just not coming in quite tight enough. I had to choose this picture because at this show where she where she won to qualify for this year's Olympia, Dan Ray, the photographer, he always gets these shots that are like mid thigh up. So there wasn't a full front pose, which disappointed me. But yeah, here she was when she won the overall. Obviously tight in the abdomen, but like a little bit of not bulging or not roundness, but like it could be a little flatter. And same thing, even when she qualified for the Olympia at the Clash, one of the first shows of the year. And then she comes in to the Olympia after getting 6th place last weekend. To some people who I think were not qualified yet, she comes in with this waist. Where did it come from? It's so tight. I'm so thrilled for her. So yeah, I wanted to highlight that, how she has really just made these crazy improvements in such a short period of time. And we can pull up when she got 6th place at the Daytona last week. I thought she looked incredible, again, just based on pictures. And she placed behind 4 people who were not qualified for the Olympia this year. Ellie Fernandez and Alessia are perennial Olympians, except for this year. And Nade did make it to the Olympia last year after just going pro last year and then doing some shows, winning one, and then going to the Olympia. But yeah, so I was really happy for Allie because that can be a major hit to your confidence. So yeah, super happy for Allie. And then we have, sorry guys, is this going on too long? Feel free to let me know. But yeah, so then we have Jordan, who we've already talked about. So I wish she would do a little bit softer of makeup. She's been doing this purple or pink eye this year, and I think it's a little harsh when she already is someone who comes in with a more conditioned physique. So I'd like to see something a little bit softer like we saw with Laura Lee. Because I think that would really just enhance her natural beauty, which she has gobs of. So that's my take on that. But I wanted to highlight her as another person who's made major improvements. So here she was last year at the Olympia versus this year, and this is her most improved shot, this back pose. So I didn't have her in my top 15 because usually she always looks great, but there isn't always that it factor for me, and there isn't that bulging, bursting out of your skin. But this year, she fucking nailed it. She had it. Her glutes were popping out of her skin, having almost a year off from doing Hurricane and qualifying for the Olympia last year, and then taking time off to do Sasquatch and Legion in the last couple weeks before this Olympia was an incredible, great decision. I like her hair better. I think it reads as softer and more of that, like, just not rolled out of bed, but just like looking natural and effortless. I think it did really well for her this year. And we're also going to pull up, because I didn't pull up her front pose from that. I want us to see her from the front last year so you can see that improvement. I just think, and I think she said at this show that she just was kind of like wiped out by the time Olympia came. I can't remember. I could be confusing that with her first Olympia in 2022. But yeah, I think she looks just totally changed, totally different from last year. And I think I like this hair a lot more. I know she was trying to change things up, like the suit color with getting brown hair, but it turns out this suit still looks perfect even with the hair. So love that. And we're almost done. Ariana, she was one of my people who I had some adjustments. I already mentioned her makeup yesterday, but since I'm going over a presentation individually now, I'll just say it again. I thought the lip was a little bit dull and the eyes a little bit dark. So I would like to see the glam enhanced a bit. I think that her makeup last year was more in line with what really flatters her and what really pops on her. So let's pull that up. Yeah, she just looks a little more vibrant with this little hint of pink on the cheeks and on the lips. I think LeBeau does her beauty, and same with Jordan. And LeBeau, usually it looks a little bit muted for me. There's not as much of that wow factor and dimension that you get when V, the makeup artist, specifically does her makeup. Like, I think Jasmine got hers by V. She looks very radiant. Great vibrancy to her skin. Same with Amy. Amy's makeup is always spot on. She always goes with V. So yeah, that's what I would say about Ariana's look this year. In terms of her hair, makeup, Sue, I thought the hair was perfect. Sue, the red velvet, it does work. See, it doesn't pop as much as, say, Maria Costa's red, which looks like at its core it is red. Um, so where is Maria? Here she is. Yeah. See how much more vibrant this red is since it's not that velvet fabric? Or maybe it is velvet. She has a different suit designer than Ariana. I forget who she uses, but it's not Toxic or Angel competition or anything. But yeah, that's my take on that. Vanya, I think, does not wear velvet. It just looks a little more vibrant to me. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. But yeah, the red on Ari looks great. It looks great. So yeah. And then we have Reina, another person whose presentation I have a couple notes on. Again, not that my notes matter, but that's just my take. We're all fans. So Reina, it's just the makeup. I think same thing. I want some more vibrancy. I think maybe even the tan could be a little bit glowier. Like Issa's skin was glowing. I would like to see that glow on Reina. I don't know if maybe she doesn't wear as much glaze or if she uses a different tan provider than the show sponsor. Pro-Tan was the show sponsor. It always is at the Olympia. So yeah, that's my thoughts there. I think the beauty could be amped up, but this is her, like I said yesterday, not having everything 100% and still placing in the top 15 out of 48 people. That's crazy. Hair is the perfect length, so sleek. Love the way Reina does her hair. You can see the taper in her waist, so love that. I mentioned yesterday the suit top, the cut of it with all these like wavy lines, it makes her look a little bit saggy up top, even though it's not. It kind of swallows her up a little bit, being this close together too. So I think just a different suit cut for the top would make a huge difference for Reina and amping up the makeup a little bit. She could even still do a red lip if she wants, but just something more vibrant and having some more color and dimension to the face, like we talked about. Again, let's pull up Amy as an example because her skin always looks vibrant. It's just a stark difference in vibrancy, and Reina is gorgeous, so she, it's not like they don't have a good canvas to work with. Okay, and then last but not least, we have Alice. Hair, makeup, suit, perfect. I'm all about it. I think the suit, it could have a little bit more scrunch at this top part here, so you really get that nice heart shape, which frames the glutes. Let's see if anyone else had that little heart shape. Yeah, you see Laura Lee, there's that little bit of a heart shape to her bottoms that really accentuates the shape of her glutes. Obviously, you can still see Alice has beautiful shape to her glutes, but I think that would just be that little tiny detail that amps it up even further. So, and it's all about those little things when you get to this level. Would that be the difference in her placing? I don't think so. But it's just something to consider. Alice, do you want to consider that? So, yeah. And then vacancies. Who did we not have in the Olympia this year? We didn't have Jen, Maureen, obviously, Ariel, who made 15th place, or 14th place last year, and Daraja, who made 19th place last year. 9th place last year. And who dropped out, or who dropped down in their placings. Issa dropped down. She was 5th last year, made it to 8th this year. Ariana dropped down. She was in 7th last year and made it to 13th this year. Rihanna was not in the top 15, but she was in that 3rd call out. And I'll pull her up. And then Tamikia made it into the 15th place last year and did not make it into top 15 this year. She too was in that 3rd call out towards the end. And then who made it into there? So Jasmine did for the first time since 2020. She went to the Olympia in 2020, I believe. 2021. But she just did not place. If I recall correctly, IIRCC, is that the abbreviation people use, if I recall correctly? So yeah, she didn't make it in that year. But in 2020, she did place 8th, which is amaze. Ninth, sorry. Still amazed. And here's how she looked then. And I loved the hair then too. So just look at this. Go Jasmine. Jasmine is one of the first people I ever looked up to because she lived in San Diego, went to San Diego State University, and I would see her working out as like a pro in the university gym, and I was completely shook. I was like, wow, she's able to accomplish that, and she's in school. It's amazing. So she's someone who really inspired me while I was in school throughout all the years that I have been competing. Not all the years, but 2020 till May when I finished. So yeah, love that. Love that she made it back in and then completely surpassed her previous placing. And 4 years later, and then Tamikia, she looked awesome this year. It's just when she moves, she gets that little bit of folding in her glute when she is especially transitioning. So we can see that here. And I already showed you her check-in pictures the other day. Like, she clearly has awesome glute ham ties. But when she moves, you start to see this bit of softness and puffiness. And I think that's something, it just, in men's bodybuilders, they look at the glutes to see if they're striated, and that like really tells you if they're conditioned or not. And I think that a similar rule applies here. They don't want striations in women's glutes in bikini, but it is something that they're going to look at when you're splitting hairs like this. And again, she did make it into that third call out. And it's just the nature of bikini for some people to be in the top 15 once and then not again the next year. Like, that bikini is just really, really difficult. Maria, first Olympia, Allie, first Olympia, Alice, first Olympia, all made it into the top 15. Jordan moved up. She has never made it into the top 15. She's made it into that third call out, I believe she said, but never into that placing spot. Angelica, she's won the Olympia twice, 2017 and 2018. And then competed in 2019, 2020, did not win again. And then this year she came back after having 2 kids and she made 10th place, which was incredible to see. And then who moved up from last year? Laura Lee was in 4th place last year, made 1. Ashley was in 3rd place the past 3 years in a row, got 2nd place. Amy was in 6th place the past 2 years in a row, got 4th place. Vanya was in the 12th place last year and then got 5th place. Ashlyn last year was in 9th? 8th? She was in 8th last year. And that's not the first time that she has been in 8th place. Ashlyn. Yeah, last year she was 8th, and then 2022 she did not place. 2021 she was in, she didn't place. In 2020 she was in 8th place. So her first Olympia she was in 8th place, which was fucking cool because she won her pro card by getting 2nd place at a national show. The pro show she won was the first show that she'd ever like won in. I believe. Let me just check. I have it up. 8th, 2nd, yeah. 2nd was the highest at that point. 1st at NPC Nationals. Oh no, NPC Johnny O Classic. Okay, yeah. Not Nationals. And then 2nd place at National Championships 2018. And then a couple years later, yeah, she's like got as high as 3rd. And then you guys could do this yourself. I don't know why I'm wasting your time. Then got 2nd multiple times. And this year qualified for the Olympia on points, I assume. Because, yeah, she didn't want to show the qualifying year before that. And then she won her first pro show after she had already placed 8th at the Olympia the year prior at the Girl Power, and then did not place that year that she won the show. So anyway, Ashlyn is someone who moved up. Pumped for her. And then who else? Oh yeah, okay. And then Jordan, she moved up from 10th place last year. The year before that, I think she was like 11th. The year before that, I think she was 12th or something. And then Reina made it into the top 15 for the first time. And then who dropped down? Issa, we already said, yes. We said we dropped down. And then athletes presentation, we went over that. Athletes who improved, Allie and Jordan, I went over that. So that caps out this very long video. Thank you for watching. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything, let me know. If you want me to do one on wellness, then you could let me know. And then thanks again for the people who liked the video, because that was just so kind of you. So that's all. Bye bye. Oh, where's the end? End.